we see a lot of transactions over people, on a regular basis, right? And you see this with organizations or businesses where they put their focus on, how much money they can drive or what their bottom line is in terms of that. When I say people over transactions, I'm saying to think in terms of alignment and congruency. If there's a high value problem that you solve for in the world and you think of how this is going to impact people as a part of its development, then you're really kind of designing it with the congruency in mind that you are going to take care of people with this solution that you've now developed.
Welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that have shaped their lives, inviting us all to reflect and grow together. Today we're joined by Lechon Kirb, a dynamic, creative entrepreneur and author who's dedicated to helping others build purpose-driven businesses. With a background that spans multimedia production and impactful frameworks, Lechon inspires countless creators to embrace their narratives and make meaningful change. Let's settle in and explore the quote he has to share with us today. Tell us your name and your favorite quote.
My name's Lechon. My favorite quote. I have to think about that. However, one that comes to mind is one that I use quite often, and it's simply people over transactions. And it's just a reminder for me that when I'm working with people and I'm, developing certain things, that there's a person on the other end of whatever kind of thing I'm developing, whether it's creative or business focused. And so, yeah, people over transactions. It's just a matter of like choosing people. And if I'm going to be creating something that is in support of them, just to kind of keep that in mind.
How long have you known this quote?
I don't really know when I started saying it. But I want to say this arrived for me probably somewhere in 2012 or so, mainly because I was getting much more immersed in like personal development and different kinds of tools and understanding at that point. So I think that it kind of arrived for me around that time.
When you said people over transactions, can you give us a couple of stories to illustrate what it means to have people over transactions and what it means to have transactions over people?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very easy. We see a lot of transactions over people, on a regular basis, right? And you see this with organizations or businesses where they put their focus on, how much money they can drive or what their bottom line is in terms of that. When I say people over transactions, I'm saying to think in terms of alignment and congruency. If there's a high value problem that you solve for in the world and you think of how this is going to impact people as a part of its development, then you're really kind of designing it with the congruency in mind that you are going to take care of people with this solution that you've now developed. And once again, we see this with a lot of organizations today, like they're much more concerned simply about if it's going to make money or not as the primary focus. And I just think that that's a cannibalistic way to think about operating in the world.
Okay. So what about the other part of the scale, which is people over transactions?
People over transactions. I mean, once again, I don't want to dive too heavy into just simply a quote because I don't live by quotes. But I will say that, like, I think that it is of great importance to have alignment and congruency with the things that you do. And if you're going to create some kind of solution, putting people in mind while you develop that really makes a big difference. And to be honest, it makes it significantly easier for you to thrive in that environment. And we know this when it comes to business. If you just look at marketing, when you look at how people go about target marketing, they're looking for the specific things that people are having challenges with. What are they having challenges with? What didn't they like in terms of the experience? And that allows you to kind of create like a niche approach, a unique approach to solve those particular problems, right? So I just think taking care of people while you develop anything is a good approach, and it's definitely more profitable.
Yeah. Because sometimes the numbers, the likes, everything, all the numbers that are there, we want to have them go up. Sometimes we just forget that even if it's one or two, like it's one or two individuals, not just numbers.
Well, there's a lot missing. There's not enough context, like if you're just looking at the numbers of how well something did or how much money it made, that doesn't really say a lot about that personal impact that you created, right? It doesn't say that it created some kind of transformation in someone's life. It made a difference for their family and what that really means to them. All of that is kind of missing unless you make an intentional approach to being able to capture that information. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's so true. I think one of the things that really like simplifies the process is to find a way to talk to the people that you creating a product for, working for, making stuff. For. Find a way to talk to them and have a conversation with them. That way, it breaks the barrier of okay, 1,000 people, the numbers, all these um charts and graphs and all that, and then you can see that oh yeah, this is a mom with kids that she has a family to take care of and all that. And she has desires, dreams, goals, and all those things beyond what the graph, the charts can capture.
Well, maybe a part of it is having conversations, right? But I think more than having conversations is having the insight or the heart to actually care about that. Because most people find themselves in conversations, they just fail themselves in conversations when they start talking to people because they've trained their mind to think um, so forward focused about what they're going to get from it, right? And so that's a mistake. And even if you find yourself in a conversation and you're talking so much about your business or whatever that you do, but you don't have the heart in it, you don't really give people a reason why they should even care about that. And so there's what I like to call gaps in between what that relationship could develop into because you haven't taken the steps to really earn that relationship, right? So first, I would say from a mental perspective, from a psychological perspective, you need to care and put yourself in the right heart space. And then when you're talking to people, that comes out, more clearly in terms of how you communicate with them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. People over transactions.
Yeah.
People transactions.
I know it sounds like a simple thing, but it's really dynamic when you start putting it into practice.
People over transactions. People over transactions. The strange thing is that the things that we know, we often need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. We need to be reminded of these things day in, day out.
Yeah, 100%. And even that quote itself, right, it's really a matter of congruency, right? Like I talk about this a lot, but it's really a matter of congruency and alignment because everything that you're doing hopefully is in exchange for every other thing you could be doing. There's a cost attached to it. And if you're going to put in the effort, you're going to put in the resources, you're going to try to build something, you're going to, whatever it is, even if you're trying to sell something and you're trying to take from people, there's a cost involved called the exchange of your time. And it's not really time in the true sense of time because it's really the container of life measured in increments that you have that you've spent on this particular effort. So even if you're not being good toward people, it doesn't mean it was a good exchange of energy or time, right? So we have to really think about that. So having the appropriate congruency and alignment, it just allows you to be much more efficient about how you should be doing this and if the cost really measure up for you or not.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. There's a lot of people that they're working on things they want to do a project, and the other things they look at to do that project or task or job or whatever it might be is the transaction. Okay, how much will I make from it? Or I get so amounts of figures, which it's not a bad thing, but sometimes you need to ask, do I care about this the people? This do I really deeply care about the people that I'm working with, the people that the product uh is meant for? Are they the people I want to create for, I want to serve, or I want to make stuff for? And then it changes it when you realize that okay, no. Like I know that yeah, of course. Now that I say it, sounds like oh, of course you're supposed to care for everybody. Sometimes we have in our heart that oh, these are the kind of people I really want to deeply help. They're struggling. I really want to help them. And yeah, I
Well,
think
even that's okay, right? Even that's okay. But the real question underneath it is it worth trading the time with your family for? Is it worth trading your youth for? Is it worth not seeing your kid, graduate or your mom another time? Like these are the real questions underneath whatever you should be doing or not. And I just don't think that most people look at it that way when they're kind of measuring if this is a good business thing or a good whatever to do. It's really like, what all are you actually trading here, and does that make sense for you or not?
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's true. Sometimes the thing we're buying, right? It might be valuable, but what we're paying for it is just too much, right? So like you're trying to get a headset, and I see, oh, you have to pay $20 million for a headset, and I'm like, I mean, the headset is nice, it's good, but nah, not $20 million. And that's what happens when you're just not looking at, okay, the time I'm going to spend at work. No, you're like, okay, that time I could actually be spending with my family, with my daughter, with my son, and what's so common is that a lot of people, they spend time looking for money for the kids, that they end up losing the kids in the first place. And so they don't have the
Yes.
money. Sometimes they do have the money, but then they don't
And you
have the
still
kids.
lost them, right? In exchange
Yeah,
for the money you tried to get to take care of them the right way, right?
yeah,
I seen this video on TikTok recently, and it was a young guy, and he was really kind of upset about the cost of like where Apple iPhones are for the iPhone 17, right? And he's like, "Oh my God, like the top phone is going to be, 2,500 US dollars. It's going to be so expensive. Who's going to buy that?" And my challenge to that is really like, I think it is severely underpriced, even though extremely expensive, severely underpriced for what possibilities it actually creates, right? You got to figure a phone gives you the ability to communicate with all of the world. You can create a business from the phone. You can create email. You can create a podcast. You can create content. Like you can learn how to trade stocks or blockchain, right? Cryptocurrencies. You can transform everything in your life based on this device. And the idea that people don't see that because they're so used to it being priced a different way, like if the challenge for them was to have no phone or to go build it themselves, it would be impossible to do. They would not be able to do it in enough time to get the life back that they bought by having the phone. You know what I'm saying? So like,
yeah,
it's really about measuring the value of the impact that this thing, creates for you, as
yeah.
well as anything else, right? So
People over transactions. People over if this quotes, like, how in lab in there's like some chemicals and some samples, and then they put a disclaimer on it that, oh, be careful, this stuff is this and this stuff like this. And then on YouTube too, there are some financial advice videos where they're like, oh, this is not meant to be financial advice, this is my own opinion. Before you take any financial action, consult your financial advice. And in this context, I want us to say, what would be the disclaimer you would say regarding this quote?
I really wouldn't put a disclaimer on it. I think the more important thing here is to get extremely clear with the ways that you allow time to pass for you, because that's really what it is. Even the idea of talking about people over transactions is just like, take care of people better. If you take care of people, you're going to be able to take care of yourself, right? It's not rocket science, but it's revolutionary in the way that people treat others, throughout their lives mostly, right? So it's really not rocket science. It's not a matter of complexity. It's a matter of ease. It's a matter of practice. So if you're going to be doing anything, I want people to start considering what it costs you to not do it that way. What's the impact on your life? What's the impact on your family? And, to a degree, that's hard to measure because you have to put it into practice to see what it then becomes, what it transforms into, how your relationships start to flourish because you start thinking in a way of how what you do in alignment with how it serves people, in alignment with what makes sense for trading your time, right? So I think it's more about putting into practice than it is about like being cautionary. There's a cautionary tale, if you don't, there's a cost on the other side. It doesn't look as good for who people become when they don't feel as though you're truly in support of them.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Lee- how do you pronounce your name? Is it Lishon or
Yeah, Lechon Kirb, Lechon.
okay? Okay. Yeah, thanks so much, Lishon, for sharing these people over transactions. It's a reminder we all need in our life, day in and day out.
Yeah, I'm happy to share this. People ask me a lot of different things because a strategist for a long time. I've worked in different things that I think are helpful to people. But I think the most helpful thing that I generally add to most conversations is my level of curiosity. You know, there's the front layer of how things look. And then once you start kind of like cutting a little deeper and cutting a little deeper, I have the type of natural makeup in terms of curiosity to have some real time that I've spent really kind of uncovering that for myself and for others.
Oh. Once again, thank you so much for sharing the quote with us and for explaining it and giving those examples that you gave. If you were to like, kind of like the next 30 seconds, if you were to like give this quote as an advice for over the next 30 to 60 seconds, just to round up the episode, I would just love for you to like, you understand what I'm saying, right? Kind of like give the quotes again as an advice. More like yeah. Kind of like analyze what you said so far, and then
Yeah, I mean, as a summary, right? We started talking about people over transactions, but I think the real conversation is about alignment and congruency, right? Alignment allows you to really put your actions and your efforts in the direction of how you want your life to be, you know? And congruency is like the proof that gets people to understand that that's actually true for you, right? Because it's not just your results, right? Your congruency is like, do my actions and my words and my heart and my intentions and my efforts and my resources show you that who I say that I am is the actual truth? That's congruency. And then people can decide for themselves if they resonate with that or not. That allows you to create like attraction and momentum and relationships that give you the opportunity to move to the next stage of your life, right? So if there was anything I was going to say to leave you with, people over transactions is really just a reminder that you need to create alignment and congruency between who you say you are, the actions that you take, the words that come out of your mouth, if they line up with the person that you want to present to the world. When there's like a disconnect there, that's when people don't really believe you or they don't really want to get behind what you're saying because they don't understand why the energy behind that is really doesn't feel like it's the truth. It's because it's misaligned, right? So you want to make sure that however you're functioning, these things make sense.
yeah, thank you so much. Where can listeners learn more about you and check out what you do?
Yeah, I mean, they can find me on the internet pretty much anywhere. You can look up Lechon Kirb, but I'm pretty active on Instagram. I'm really, really active on LinkedIn, like sharing different, quotables. There's a bunch there and different ideas and just mindset things that can help people really learn how to take their ideas and turn them into something that is scalable, right? Something that can help them monetize and really kind of get in alignment with what they want to be doing. Like, what do they love? What are they passionate about? What their skills are? And then how to turn that into something that like powers their dream.
Thank you so much, Lishan. It's been really eye-opening chatting with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Hopefully you take that to heart, that the alignment congruency piece, thinking of what you do in addition to people over transactions. I just think it's something that could be helpful in terms of a lens to look at your life through.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for listening to Relatable Wisdom. If you found something meaningful in this episode, make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. If you'd like to support the show, you can do that by buying me a coffee. The link is in the show notes. Every little bit keeps the conversations going. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep growing.